We have information that he at one time wanted to be a firefighter.
Tonight, we now know the identity of the gunman in the deadly shooting of 2 firefighters just outside of Coeur d'Alene. Tonight, what the sheriff is saying about him and the investigation. As we learn more, the North Idaho community is mourning the loss. Tonight, how they're honoring and remembering their fallen brothers.
We're under a KREM 2 weather impact alert. Hot and sunny the next couple of days before fire danger increases on Wednesday.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Handrahan. Right now we have team coverage as we continue to track breaking news in North Idaho. Tonight at 5, we have crews giving us the latest information about 2 firefighters shot and killed near Coeur d'Alene yesterday. But first, KREM 2's Connor McAvoy in studio to bring us the most Cobberger case. Just this afternoon, Cobberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students back in November of 2022, accepted a plea deal, we have learned. The deal calls for him to plead guilty on all 4 counts of murder and serve 4 consecutive life sentences. The deal takes the death penalty off the table. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy telling us what this means going forward. Connor?
Well, we've confirmed a letter was sent to the murder victim's family members saying he's agreed to plead guilty on all 4 counts of first-degree murder charges. This comes just 2 months before the trial was originally scheduled to start. Now, this plea deal also has Cobberger waiving all the rights to appeal. The prosecution's been seeking the death penalty since 2023. We spoke with former Idaho Attorney General David Leroy about the situation and how the deal came to light.
Now that he is going to plead guilty, re-entering society is forever foreclosed, given the dreadful nature of these murders and the risk that he would propose to society were he to re-enter. This is a good result in a hard case, and the only possible outcome other than proceeding forward on a death penalty matter.
Now, the family of one of the 4 victims, Kaylee Gonzalez, posted to Facebook just this afternoon, writing the update is true and that they are heartbroken by the agreement. Now, Cobberger's next hearing is expected on Wednesday, July 2nd. At that time, Leroy says a judge will likely sign off on the plea deal. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Big developments for sure, Connor. Thank you very much. And now back to the situation in Coeur d'Alene. 2 firefighters were killed, another seriously hurt in an ambush on Canfield Mountain yesterday. Today we are learning the identity of the shooter, 20-year-old Wes Rowley. Firefighters responded to a brush fire early yesterday afternoon along the Canfield hiking trail. While battling that fire, first responders were shot at. Last night, a procession of law enforcement and firefighters escorted the 2 firefighters who died in that ambush. The firefighters were taken from Coeur d'Alene to the Spokane County Medical Examiner's office. People and other firefighters lined the overpass along with I-90 to show respect for the fallen brothers. And Coeur d'Alene remembering the late firefighters today. KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy is at the proceedings right now. Shannon, we just heard from fire officials who identified the victims in this case.
Yeah, we're at the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue headquarters in Post Falls, where we just heard from fire chiefs from the city of Coeur d'Alene and Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, learning the identities of those firefighters. So from Kootenai County Fire, Battalion Chief Frank Harwood was killed yesterday. From the city of Coeur d'Alene, Battalion Chief John Morrison also died. And tonight, Dave Tisdale, an engineer with the city's fire department, is in critical condition. We heard from the fire chief of Coeur d'Alene, Tom Greif, and he said that he had heard from Tisdale's wife that he is able to open his eyes today after 2 successful surgeries before noon, and that he is surrounded by his family and loved ones. And they thank everyone for the outpouring of support from the community. And we do want to remind you that you need to be careful about donating and where you donate. So there is an official avenue for donating to these families and for fire crews who are still battling the Nettleton Gulch fire and just needing some support right now. So the way to donate is to go through the Red and Blue Foundation here locally. They are partnering with Anchored Coffee Company. So all of those coffee stands are taking donations. They're taking food, water, and money. You can also donate money in person at any First Interstate Bank location. That money will go directly to those 3 firefighter families. And tonight, the sentiment in the Coeur d'Alene and Kootenai County community is just confusion and shock. We heard that sentiment from Mayor Woody McEvers. Take a listen.
We still are in shock and are struggling to understand why someone would target unarmed, selfless public servants. Law enforcement is continuing to investigate.
Chief Greif said that they got the reports of smoke yesterday afternoon, and they just responded, as they always do, to attack this fire, and instead they themselves were attacked. And this, of course, is all still under investigation. In Post Falls, Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Thank you very much. Well, we are getting some more insight into the shooter, Wes Rowley, tonight. His former roommate tells us he once called police on Rowley over concerns he might become violent. Jim Melson is live in Sandpoint tonight with more on that. Jim?
Yeah, and we had heard that Rowley was a bit of a transient. However, that ex-roommate said that he lived with him here at this apartment complex where his family stayed sometimes, that being the ex-roommate's family, including his children. It was about a 6-month stay for Rowley. He left in January after they found him making some threatening gestures on the security cameras here. However, Rowley left for good without incident after that happened. You could imagine their surprise when they heard the news this morning. A shockwave hit Sandpoint early Monday.
I woke up to a phone call this morning from my brother, and he was like, dude, you're not gonna believe this. I said, what? And he said, your roommate's name was Wes Rowley, right? And I said, yeah. And he sent me the picture of him, and I read the news, and honestly, I was just freaking out really bad. TJ Franks says he met Wes Rowley through the tree service industry. He tells me the 20-year-old was living out of his van when he moved into Frank's apartment. My mom was freaking out, and my whole family met him, and they've talked to him, and it's scary because I don't know, he could have flipped at any time. Franks couldn't recall any conversations that may have hinted at a motive, which is still under investigation. I mean, that is an absolutely disgusting thing to do. You know, my heart goes out to those firefighters' families because I respect law enforcement and firefighters especially. And it hurts my heart, but it also scares the crap out of me because he lived in my home under my roof. And Sheriff Norris said that local law enforcement agencies did have some previous interactions with Rowley. One of them, Franks says, was here, but again, those interactions were described as relatively minor. Also worth adding that Franks said he never saw any guns in the apartment. In fact, he said there was a specific agreement with Rowley that guns would not be allowed here again because Franks sometimes had his children here. Live in Sandpoint, Jim Nelson, KREM 2 News.
Jim, thank you very much. Let's switch gears and talk weather on this Monday as we are under a weather impact alert today extending through Wednesday. Our chief meteorologist Jeremy Legoo is outside. Jeremy, today felt noticeably warmer outside.
Yeah, Mark, today is the start of a 3-day stretch with high temperatures in the 90s here in Spokane and even warmer in parts of the region. That plays a role in crews fighting the Nettleton Gulch fire there in Coeur d'Alene. It sits right on the edge of some communities, but we've heard they do have it lined to the west, which means there is a line between the fire itself and some of those neighborhoods. However, it is burning in extremely steep and hard to access terrain. That means some of that heavier equipment is unable to get up there, so it's a lot of manpower on the ground and with air support. That is going to play a big role in what we see the next couple of days. Temperatures right now in the 90s, but look at your relative humidity down in the teens. There are 3 factors when talking about a wildfire. That's heat, the moisture in the atmosphere, and wind. We are very hot and very dry the next couple of days. That's why we're under heat advisories and why we have those weather impact alerts. 93 to 104 degrees is where we'll top out the next 2 days. But as we see a pattern shift move in on Wednesday, we are under a fire weather watch for winds gusting at 25 to 40 miles per hour at the time. We stay hot as that happens. 96 and sunny tomorrow, 91 degrees on Wednesday with up to 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts and the possibility of an isolated dry thunderstorm along with it. We're going to track the latest on the weather and how it's impacting fire conditions all throughout the evening. Mark?
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. We are just getting started here on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight.
If you looked into his eyes, you could see the sadness, the heartbreak.
Coming up, we'll hear from a North Idaho resident who helped law enforcement during chaotic times with an act of kindness. But first, Idaho senators paid their respects to fallen firefighters on the Senate floor today. Their remarks after the break.